Recently, I've been clearing out my backlogs of previous seasons that I either didn't feel like watching at the time or forgot about and came across this series in the process. I never heard much talk about it when it was airing, and the only person that I know of that even made something on it was Mother's Basement, so from that alone, you can get a really good idea of the reaction most people have towards this anime. It made me really wonder if people were blowing things out of proportion, or if the reactions actually held some weight this time around. The basic premise of Tesla Note is a pretty interesting setup. In this universe, Nikola Tesla stored all of his inventions that were ahead of their time into crystal shards that he scattered across the world, and entrusted their protection beyond his death to a clan of ninja. However, these shards now threaten the safety of the planet as someone has managed to use them, and it's up to our main cast to reclaim them and save the world in the process. The first episode of this anime was honestly fantastic to me. There was a little bit of dated writing with how Kurama acted that proved to be distracting, but not enough to where I'd take any points off. The CGI in the episode was also a step above 95% of other series. It simply looked amazing, and the 3D interacted really well with the 2D characters being on screen. They even managed to make a 3D object being given to a 2D character mesh really well, as it pretty seamlessly turned into a 2D object. The weakest aspect of this episode was just the lighting because the shadows on the characters looked strange at times. Overall, it made me look forward to seeing more of the anime, so I started off with some reasonably high expectations. So, after watching the full anime, what did I learn? Well, I learned that the title of this video is a rhetorical question. Don't get me wrong, Tesla Note is a flawed show, but not to the degree that I've seen people say it was. There's very little that is wrong with its writing to where the only conclusion I could even come up with for why people dislike this is because of how it looked, which I find really dumb. I thought that Tesla Note at its best looked better than even Studio Orange's CGI work. For the most part, the anime was really consistent with its art direction and found a way to get around some of the technical limitations that come with CGI. For instance, they would switch over to 2D scenes to show more expressive faces that the 3D medium can't quite replicate. The anime did this quite a bit to where I'd honestly consider this to be more of a hybrid medium show than a CGI one. Their usage of 2D was a really smart way to get around a lot of the general awkwardness that you'd probably easily notice in other series. While overall the series managed to stay consistent with its quality, there are two really notable instances where it dips quite a bit, around the midway point and the final episode. The midway point of the anime was on the rough side with how there was some noticeably bad modeling with a few things, frame drops, and I think I even noticed a few texture issues. It was distracting, but I believe an average viewer would be able to look past that, though I wouldn't blame anyone that ended up disappointed with this next one. The last episode was the worst in terms of its quality, as quite a few scenes felt like they were left out because you could hear things going on, but the camera would be focusing on something almost unrelated. Which I can only assume is the studio behind this running into some time or budgeting issues towards the end of production. Everything about it was scuffed, and its pacing also made it feel a little on the rushed side of things. The only other real negative I can think of for this series is the fact that some of the twists that are revealed in it are pretty cliched. They're not really predictable, but there is one that happens that you will wish didn't because it's really tired by the time you reach it. Overall, my first impressions on the anime really nailed what I thought it was going to be like on nearly every level. Sure, there were some dips along the way, but I found it equaled itself out by the end of the series. The weirdness with the lighting in the series persisted as well, but it was significantly less in all the episodes past the first. The thing I found the funniest compared to when I started is how I didn't like Kurama that much and I really liked Botan, but by the end of the anime, those two characters traded places. Kurama ended up becoming more and more enjoyable as they built upon him and explored his stubbornness to make him out to be a significantly better character. Botan, on the other hand, stagnated in her writing, making her probably one of the worst characters I've experienced. The development that she does have in the anime is nice, but when it's introduced, it's way too late to make me care about her, especially when she honestly should not even be a spy because in many cases, she's proven to not be cut out for it. She's the only thing in this anime that I feel keeps it from being great. I unexpectedly found myself enjoying the dynamics that the main factions of the anime had together. It brought a lot of charm to the show, and it's probably what I'll remember the series for the most because of how well it worked with both friendly and antagonistic roles. Tesla Note was a unique experience for me. It wasn't an anime I was interested in when it was airing because its premise sounded way too goofy for me to take seriously, but when I actually watched it, I found myself immersed in it. It's a different direction with a historic fiction type of show, but they managed to make some of the weirdness fit in very well with how some things were explained. It'd be nice if more people watched this anime. It doesn't nearly deserve all the shit it got, especially when not many people watched it to begin with. If you watch it and end up not liking it anyways, you at least did more than even its reviewers on My Anime List did. Be proud of yourself.